You are now listening to the Just Corrections podcast with your host, William Young.
Can we just get this show on the road?
As correctional officers, as correctional staff, trust does not come easily. It's something that we're taught to be cautious of from day one on the job. Trust feels like a liability, a crack in the armor we wear to protect ourselves from the risk and manipulation that are inherent in our environment. But this mindset doesn't just stay within the walls of the facility, folks. It follows us home into our personal lives, affecting how we interact with our family, our friends, and even the resources that are meant to help us. Greetings, my fearless frontliners, my fellow guardians of the galleries. I'm William Young, and this is my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a current, aspiring, retired, or retiring correctional professional and you're looking for content that is informative, engaging, intended to both elevate and educate the profession, then you're in the right place. If you're looking for something other than that, then you should probably just go elsewhere. Look, for many of us, the idea of trust, of trusting someone like a therapist, of trusting an employee assistance program, or even a peer support team member feels unnatural, maybe even impossible. But here's the truth. Trust isn't a weakness. It's a strength. And when used wisely, it's an absolute game changer in both your professional and your personal life. And before I go any further, I would be remiss not to thank the members of the Just Corrections Patreon community for sponsoring the video, for supporting the channel. Without you, without them, I could not create the content that I create. So I appreciate you all. Thank you all. If you're watching and you'd like to contribute to support the channel, I'll throw a link in the description below, or if you'd rather just click the thanks button below. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could do that by hitting the little button that is right below me. So let's face it, correctional officers, and I write about this in my book, are trained not to trust. From the very beginning of our career, of your career, you're taught that trust can lead to manipulation, injury, or worse. Look, the reality of our work environment reinforces this lesson every single day. Inmates test boundaries. Coworkers occasionally, right, just occasionally, let you down. And leadership, well, they don't always seem to have your back. And I remember not too long ago getting an email from a kid, a new cadet from CDCR, the California Department of Corrections, and he was so excited to share his notes with me. He sent him, he said, Mr. Young, I appreciate your content. I watched the channel. I want to show you my notes, share my notes with you. And the very first thing on the very first page of notes, he sent me multiple pages of notes, but the very first thing was, don't trust anyone ever, inmates or staff. And that was the very first thing at the top of the page that he was told on the very first day. Look, from the very beginning of our correctional career, we are trained to change. And this constant need for vigilance conditions us to see the world through a lens of skepticism. Here's the problem. It's what keeps us safe when we're dealing with the unexpected or navigating the complex dynamics inside of our facility. But this hypervigilance that I'm talking about, it just doesn't shut off. It just doesn't stop when we leave, when we walk out of the gates. It follows us home. It follows you home, affecting how you interact with others and you view situations. And I write about this in my book, Train to Change, right? In chapter 6, we're going to go to this chapter 6, page 54. It's actually page 53. I apologize for that. It says the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has a disclaimer for medications. They call it a black box warning. And a black box warning is used when a medication has the potential to cause serious harm, hospitalization, or even death. Medications are given a black box warning if the risk of using may outweigh the benefits. For example, NSAIDs, drugs such as naproxen and ibuprofen, have a black box warning because misuse, right, may raise a person's risk of heart attack or stroke. NSAIDs can also produce a serious gastrointestinal side effects such as ulcers, right, for certain people. The label, the warning isn't included so that you won't use the medication. It's simply there just to give you information, to bring awareness to the potential risks that come along with taking the medications so that you and your healthcare provider can make a decision that's appropriate and safe. And it goes on to say this: we're all familiar with the benefits of medications such as naproxen and ibuprofen, but how many of us were aware of the risks associated with them? Probably not many. I wasn't before I crawled into this rabbit hole, but now I know. And now that I know I can protect myself from the risks, I can make an informed decision based on the information I now have in front of me. Our training curriculum is no different than the NSAIDs. If administered properly, they are effective, extremely effective for most. But if not administered properly, if we ignore the risk, the implementation of the information could cause some serious side effects down the road, like trusting people and leadership and wellness resources like therapists, employee assistance programs, or peer support team. That doubt creeps in. Will my coworkers judge me if I reach out? Can I really trust the person to keep my stuff confidential? What if this affects how I'm seen at my work or my chance for promotion? What if they don't understand what I'm going through? These questions, guys, are not paranoia. They're the natural result of working in a high stress, low trust environment. Our training, the trauma, and the time that we spend inside. But while this mindset might protect you inside the facility, it can also isolate you from the very support systems that are designed to help you. Look, trust is critical in corrections. Think about all the officers that you rely on during a code or the supervisors who've earned your respect. Trust isn't just given, it's built over time through shared experiences, consistency, and demonstrated integrity. And without trust, that teamwork breaks down. And in a place where seconds matter and miscommunication can cost us our lives, a lack of trust can be deadly. But in corrections, it isn't just about the emergencies. It's also about creating a culture where you are safe, where you feel safe to speak up, to ask questions and admit when you're struggling. Unfortunately, many of us don't feel safe doing those things because we've been conditioned to keep everything bottled up because we don't trust anyone ever, inmates or staff. And if we can't even trust our coworkers, if we think trusting our coworkers is tough, then trusting a therapist or a wellness program is going to be, it's going to feel impossible. And here's why. Number one, we have that fear of judgment. Seeking help can feel like we're admitting that we're weak. And in a profession, right, that values toughness, that celebrates toughness, that glorifies toughness, that's hard to do. Many officers worry about being seen as less than capable or not cut out for the job if they reach out for help. And why do we feel like that? Well, because we are terrible to each other. Because there is judgment and ridicule for behaving a certain way, but that's why I do what I do, because you all are full of shit. And me too, right? This job, the hours, the environment, the leadership, the policies, the violence, it messes with all of us. So let's stop pretending that any of us have it figured out and start supporting each other the way that we need to support each other. The second barrier, the second obstacle to trusting these resources are confidentiality concerns. And it's not uncommon to wonder, will this get back to my supervisors, or will people find out that I'm struggling? The fear that your personal information might not stay private is a huge barrier, right, to trusting a wellness resource. And this is another area where we do each other a huge disservice. And I say this knowing that you all have examples of this happening to you, and you will stand by those examples. But I'm here to tell you this, that it is absolutely 100% illegal for a therapist to report what you say in a meeting with them. They can tell your employer that you were there. They can tell your employer that you were compliant with what they talked about, but they cannot, I repeat this again and write this down, they cannot tell your employer or anybody else what you said unless it's a mandatory reporting issue, like you said that you're going to come back into the facility and shoot everybody or kill yourself. Then yes. Or if you report sexual assault, there are mandatory report things. But if you go in and say your boss is an asshole, they're not going to repeat that, right? No, they're not. So stop it. The third thing is cultural disconnect, right? This is another thing that we do for us that we talk about a lot. Therapists, counselors might seem like they don't understand the realities of working in corrections. If they haven't walked the tears or felt the weight of working a chaotic shift, and it's easy to feel like they just won't get it, so we don't want to talk to them. And then again, our conditioning. After years of being told to suck it up, to handle it yourself, to let these things just kind of roll off your back, the idea of opening up to someone else may feel foreign, or maybe even like a betrayal of the self-reliance that has been drilled into you, but it's worth it. So let's flip the script just for a second. What if Okay, just think about this for a second. What if you could trust the right people and the resources? What would that look like for you? Could it provide some relief from the burden? Carrying the stress and the trauma alone, guys, is exhausting. And trusting someone else with a part of that load can provide a sense of relief, a sense of validation, and you don't have to carry it all by yourself. It can help build relationships. Right? Trust isn't just for the job, it's for life. Building trust with your family, your friends, your coworkers, it strengthens your relationships, helping you feel more connected and more supported. And it can also, absolutely, number 3, improve your mental health. Wellness resources like peer support, therapists exist to help you develop tools to manage stress, anxiety, trauma. Trusting these resources can improve your mental health and will make you stronger and more resilient. And it can also absolutely affect the culture. When you start trusting each other, when you start trusting wellness initiatives, it creates a ripple effect. Others see the benefits, others hear you talking about it, and will follow suit, gradually building a culture of support and understanding. So how do we do this? Well, it doesn't happen overnight. Trust doesn't build overnight. It's something that you can work on, those step by step. So let's start small. You don't have to share everything right away. And I would maybe suggest that you don't, but take small steps like talking to a trusted coworker or attending a wellness event, and then ask questions. If you're unsure about a resource, whether it's an employee assistance program or a therapist or the peer support team, ask questions about confidentiality, about qualifications, about how they even operate, right? Knowing the details can help you ease your mind. It'll help you ease the doubt and then focus on the common ground. Many wellness providers, peer supporters have been trained, have experience, and they understand the correctional environment. So look for resources that you feel comfortable with, that align with your experiences and with your values, and then give it time. Trust takes time to build, but the effort is absolutely worth it. Even if the first conversation feels awkward, it feels uncomfortable, sticking with it can lead to real breakthroughs. And I always tell people this when they go see a therapist or speak with somebody: set up your second appointment right away. Give it 2, give it 3. It takes a little bit to see if you click. It takes a little bit to get through your bullshit, so you start telling the truth, right? So, and here's the last part. Lead by example. If you're a leader, if you're a veteran, if you're a seasoned officer, consider how your story, how your openness can set the tone for others, can pave the way for others, can show others that you trust the wellness initiatives. And that can really encourage your peers to do the same thing. So look, trust, folks, is not a 4-letter word. It's a lifeline. And in corrections, we rely on trust every day, whether we realize it or not, whether we want to admit it or not. It's what keeps us safe on the job and connected off of it. While trusting wellness resources may feel unnatural at first, it's a step towards building a healthier, stronger version of yourself. And you're absolutely not weak for seeking help. You're not less than for needing to talk to someone. You're human. And trusting the right people can help you navigate these challenges of the profession with strength and resilience. And look, trust is not about letting your guard down. It's about knowing when to let someone else help you carry the load. It's not just good for you, it's good for the whole team, for your family, and for the culture of corrections as a whole. Trust, guys, folks, trust is not a 4-letter word. It's a lifeline. Use it. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today, for listening, for watching to this episode of the podcast. New episodes are available daily, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Set a reminder on your phone. Mark it on your little calendar, maybe even write on your arm, on your hand, and people wonder and they'll ask, and you can tell them about it. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, whatever podcast platform you prefer. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn. Leave a comment. Get involved. Engage. I love reading your guys' comments. I love reading the emails that you send me, even the shitty ones. Share the show with your friends, family, fellow correctional professionals, everybody. The Just Corrections podcast. And if you're interested in supporting the show, please consider becoming a member of the Just Corrections Patreon community. There are a couple of different tiers, different options, so check that out. I'll have a link to that in the description below. And don't forget to check out the books, The Nothing That Never Happened and Trained to Change, The Unfortunate and Unintentional Consequences of the Correctional Curriculum. And if you'd like to bring me out to speak or present at your event, send me an email at justcorrections.booking@gmail.com. All right, guys, that's all I got. Until next time, be smart, stay safe, stay sane, and we will talk soon.